Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You know what they say, what goes up must come down. And I'm not just talking about your favorite team's winning streak. No, I'm talking about the grand lesson we can learn from the Pac-12, their sudden unraveling. That nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, is immune from change. Not a sports conference, not a beloved institution, not even the mighty Soviet Union. Yeah, I said it. We're going from sports to geopolitics here, folks. Remember the Soviet Union? Oh, how the world trembled at the thought of their iron grip, their unshakable power. They were like the bully on the playground who you thought would rule forever. But guess what? History had other plans. One day, they were a superpower strutting their stuff, and the next day they were gone faster than you can say glass snow. Oh, I got to hit the punchlines. Poof. Anyway, just like that, the mighty USSR was relegated to the pages of the history books, leaving behind a trail of Matryoshka dolls and faded propaganda posters. So what's the moral of these stories, my friends? It's simple. Don't get too comfortable. Don't assume that just because something's been around forever, that it's here to stay. The Pac-12 thought it was invincible with its Conference of Champions title, but it turns out now it's the Conference of Ashes, flaming out this summer. And it's not just sports conferences and superpowers that are susceptible to the winds of change. It's everything. Your favorite childhood hangout spot could become a strip mall. Your go-to snack could suddenly be off the shelves. Heck, even the most powerful countries can crumble like a house of cards. So here's a little reality check for us all. Institutions rise and institutions fall. What's here today might not be here tomorrow. It's a reminder that life's a roller coaster and sometimes we're just along for the ride. So let's raise a glass to the Pac-12, the Soviet Union, and all other fallen giants out there. May they serve as a humbling reminder that nothing, absolutely nothing, is permanent. As we navigate this crazy world, let's remember that change is the only constant, and the future is unpredictable as a March Madness bracket. Cheers to the unexpected, my friends. My name's Tom Coffee. This is the Coffee Nuance Show. Best censored commentary and news show live. Right now, flame on. Oh yeah, death of the Pac-12. Yikes. It was known as the Conference of Champions due to its long history of athletic excellence, spanning over 100 years. It was a dominant force in Olympic sports and college basketball, boasts a rich tradition with notable alumni like Jackie Robinson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Tiger Woods, Jackie Joyner-Kersee. However, recent defections have severely impacted the conference strength and reputation. The Pac-12 has suffered from a series of departures, turning it into the Conference of Ashes. The Big Ten added Oregon and Washington to its ranks, with the Big 12 acquired Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah. This realignment has left the Pac-12 with only 4 remaining teams: California, Stanford, Oregon State, and Washington State. The shift was primarily driven by financial benefits associated with football, as the Big Ten and Big 12 secured lucrative media rights deals. The Pac-12's attempt to secure a favorable media rights deal was unsuccessful, leading to the exodus of several member schools. Historic rivalries that defined the Pac-12 are now at risk, with teams moving to different conferences. This includes the iconic Apple Cup and the Civil War, even though we don't technically call it the Civil War anymore. That's the game between Oregon and Oregon State. The conference's legacy of championships and star athletes, particularly in Olympic sports, may fade as it fails to salvage from its current state. Is really sad. The Pac-12 had a storied history of success, strong presence in Olympics, men's college basketball, football, Notable achievements include numerous national championship, Heisman Trophy winners, Olympic medalists. The conference's tradition of excellence, once a defining characteristic, is now at risk of facing a challenging period of change and uncertainty. So this is kind of a shock. I mean, you could have seen it coming. There were hints that this was a possibility. But this kind of shows that really you can't count on anything. The Pac-12, used to be the Pac-10. Before that, it was the Pac-8. It's been a constant in my life, my whole life. Conference of Champions. And every year, right, for the Rose Bowl, it was the champion of the Pac-12 versus the champion of the Big Ten. That was the Rose Bowl. Conference is done. And it seemingly it's all greed. It's all just about making more money. And there's some game theory involved here as well. You know, you can't be you don't want to be one of the teams that's stuck, right? If everybody else is moving to greener pastures and you don't, or if you have that opportunity and, you're in charge of that school and you don't, well, that's your job. You're done, right? But not just your job is done, the whole conference is done. This is really sad, and you could think, it's just a sports conference. Who cares? This is America, right? America is this sports conference. And just like that, it's done. It's done. And so often we don't see things coming at all. It's interesting. I lived in Germany in 1989. And I left, I think, in August of 89 to come back to the U.S. And what was it, November that the wall fell? A couple months later, the wall fell. I think it was November. Was it November or September? I can't remember. But yeah, I didn't see the Berlin Wall falling. I didn't see the collapse of all of that at all. Now, I just realized by one of your comments, and thank you for your comments. I really appreciate it because it helps me do a better job. I didn't even explain what the Pac-12 Conference was. It's one of those things that you don't realize that not everyone knows. Like, what I think everyone knows is obviously not, right? So the Pac-12 is a conference of schools on the West Coast. And that is their league, their sports league. And so the Pac-12, it was 4 schools in California, right? UCLA, USC, Stanford, and Berkeley, University of California at Berkeley. So the 4 California schools. It had 2 in Arizona, Arizona State, 2 in Oregon, Oregon State, 2 in Washington, Washington State, and Colorado Boulder, which took off just recently, and Utah, University of Utah, I believe. This is just off the top of my head. I should actually pull it up, but I think those were the schools. And these schools would compete in every sport, and that would be the conference that they would play in. And so whatever sport you were into, if you were into watching college soccer, you would compete every year to be the champion of the Pac-12. And that was the big thing. That was the conference championship. That was the big deal. And like I said in the monologue, or maybe not in the monologue, afterwards, the Rose Bowl every year, they would take the champion of the Pac-12, which is here, versus the champion of the Big Ten, which was kind of like in the Midwest, right? That had like Ohio State and Michigan and teams like that. But that was the Pac-12. It was a mighty conference. They called it, its thing was the Conference of Champions. That was its moniker. And like I say, this was formed like in the 50s. So, yeah. It's just an end of an era. And to me, it's been around my whole life. This is the sports conference, right? This is the one that matters if you're on the West Coast, right? Obviously, if you're in the South, right, it would be the SEC, the Southeastern Conference. But different parts of the country have their own big sports conferences for college sports. And it was all college sports. And so, yeah, this is the end. And it just kind of... What happened was these different conferences were making these deals for big money for TV contracts. It was mainly around football, mainly around college football, that they would get these big contracts from ABC or ESPN or whoever, right? You would have these massive contracts. And the money was distributed pretty much evenly amongst other conference members. And so when a conference says, hey, you want to join our conference, you're going to bring in millions and millions of more dollars to your school if you do this. Once some teams start taking off, then they all did. And that was the collapse of the conference. And to me, what I try to tie it in with the monologue is that nothing's sacred, right? Anything that you think is a permanent thing. I never could have imagined. Honestly, I couldn't imagine that the Pac-12 would be gone. I didn't think that would happen. At all. But in the same way, right, we didn't think that the Berlin Wall would fall. I mean, it fell. I was there right before it fell. No one was saying that it was going to fall. And that's the thing is we same thing with the Soviet Union. The whole, collapsed. And there's some interesting stories about how people really didn't see that happening either. So what is it? This is just a reminder that anything can. And it makes me think, what would happen if a couple of states in the United States just decided, you know what, we're going to break off. Texas decides, you know what, we're done. We're going to pull out from the United States. And we're going to ask some other states to join us. And next thing you know, right, the country could crumble. Not everything is as secure as you think it is. And that was kind of the point of what I was wanted to talk about today. Now, I do have some other stories as well. Stick around for the after show. I'll be going through all your conference, all your comments in the after show. But I got a couple of stories to get to today, so let's just roll through them real quick. And this first one, we got more strikes happening. Oh, more chaos. Yay! Oh, folks, Los Angeles is heating up this summer, and I don't just mean the weather. Thousands of city workers are planning to go on a strike for 24 hours. It's like they're taking a page out of Hollywood's playbook, because nothing says drama like city workers walking off the job. I haven't seen this many people not showing up for work since the last time Congress had a busy day. But bump. Anyway, here's the story. Thousands of Los Angeles city workers, represented by SEIU Local 721, plan to strike for 24 hours, protesting unfair labor practices. This is the city's first major worker strike in 15 years. Over 11,000 workers, including sanitation, traffic personnel, will participate. The strike coincides with the surge in labor actions across LA and the nation. It aims to address issues of negotiation transparency and employee rights. The strike could disrupt operations at the airport, port, and City Hall. The union will resume negotiations in August for a new contract and unresolved matters. So, yikes, more strikes. Oh my goodness. They're seeing the Actors Guild, all the actors striking. Writers strike in LA. Got to get in on it. All right, let's demand more. Yeah. I'm not in LA. I don't know anyone in LA or that I talk to on a regular basis, so I'm not really sure what to make of this. I haven't really even looked into it. But I just wanted to tell you that these big strikes happen, and they can affect everyone. In fact, they can affect the little guy a lot more than the big institutions. So that's that. But let's get to something else I find interesting. This happened in the New York Times over the weekend. New York Times playing a game of telephone with the Kremlin spokesperson's quotes. He said costly bureaucracy, and somehow they translated that to rigged election. But here's the punchline. The New York Times isn't issuing a correction or an update. They're treating this mistranslation like a hipster's vintage collection. No edits allowed. I guess accuracy is out and artistic interpretation is in. So here's the story. Kremlin Press Secretary Dmitry Peskov has accused the New York Times of misrepresenting his statement about Russian elections being, quote, costly bureaucracy rather than a true democracy. He clarified that the upcoming presidential election will be democratic, emphasizing President Vladimir Putin's high public support and the consolidation of society due to the conflict in Ukraine. And while the New York Times quoted him, suggested that Putin would win with over 90% of the vote, Peskov argued that his actual intention was to convey that Putin's popularity and societal consolidation would likely lead to his reelection by a substantial margin. Peskov did not explicitly accuse the mistranslation of being intentional, but it's criticized Western media for biased coverage of the Ukraine conflict before. So this is what I found interesting about this. The New York Times did a big piece. They do these big Sunday pieces. And what they do in it is they selectively take quotes, and they'll have like one sentence quote, and then skip a little bit, and then take another sentence, but really not give you enough context to know what's going on. And from my reading of it, it seems pretty clear that this is like a biased, like quote mining of the Kremlin spokesperson, which, whatever, it is what it is, right? But the thing is, immediately they called it out and they said, this is BS. This is not at all what I was talking about. And I just got on the New York Times this morning to see if they have issued any kind of correction, any kind of update, anything at all. You would think that that would be news, right? If the Kremlin spokesperson says, hey, by the way, what you said is not what I said, you would think that that would be news. That would be a little story. That would be at least a correction. That would be an update. That would be something. Well, I invite you to go to the New York Times today, and you can search, do a search on the entire New York Times, okay, for today, August 7th, and you will not find his name, Peskov. Is it Dmitry? Yeah, Dmitry Peskov, Peskov, one time on their website. Since this article was published over the weekend, they've now not mentioned his name in any additional articles whatsoever. So that's kind of egregious, you know? The New York Times could even do an update. They could say, they could do an update. Hey, a story we did over the weekend. Dmitry Peskov, a Kremlin spokesperson, said that we got it wrong. We stand by our story. They could do something like that. They're not even addressing it whatsoever. How many times do you need to see the New York Times being really shady before you lose your trust in them? That's the question. And I know everybody in the comments is going to say, well, nobody believes the New York Times. A lot of people do. A lot of people do. So I just wanted to point this out. It's just one more time. And a lot of times, it's not what's reported, it's what's not reported. And today, what's not reported is the claim that they got the quote wrong, that they got the translation wrong. That's what's not being reported. And I think that when that happens, it is totally intentional. That's my take on it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And let's see what else we got here. All right, let me see if I got this straight. Ukraine is shelling a university in Donetsk, a city that is technically in Ukraine but controlled by Russia. That brings a new meaning to the University Bonfire Party. Yikes. Here's the story. A university building in Donetsk, controlled by Russia in eastern Ukraine, caught fire after Ukrainian shelling. The fire affected the wooden roof of the University of Economics and Trade. Emergency teams and firefighters worked to control the blaze, and it was attributed to Ukrainian forces using cluster munitions. The fire's spread was contained after affecting about 1,800 square meters of the university. So Ukraine is using cluster munitions. Didn't the U.S. just send Ukraine a bunch of cluster munitions? Didn't Joe Biden just send Ukraine a whole bunch of cluster munitions? And Ukraine is using them on a university that's in Ukraine. So Ukraine is bombing itself. Why would they do that? It's as if Ukraine has been bombing this area of Ukraine for like a dozen years. It's as if it hasn't stopped since 2012, right? It's as if all the people that were saying, hey, Ukraine is attacking its own citizens, might have been telling the truth. I would like an explanation as to why Ukraine is bombing a university in Ukraine. I mean, maybe there's a good explanation for it. I can't think of one, but I don't know. It's kind of weird, isn't it? That the U.S. taxpayers are funding cluster munitions that are being used to bomb a Ukrainian university. Well, I'm sure that that doesn't have an effect on the environment at all either. So, anyway, what do I know? Let's talk about others. How about Mr. Softee? Oh, yeah. You know, they're talking about banning ice cream trucks from using fossil fuels in New York City, but apparently supporting wars and is still considered an environmentally friendly activity. I guess it's all about priorities, right? Saving the planet one ice cream cone at a time while unleashing chaos on another continent. Here's the story. A new law proposed by Democratic politician Lincoln Ressler in New York aims to ban ice cream vans from using fossil fuels for cooling within 3 years, requiring them to switch to electric generators. Supporters argue that this move would reduce noise pollution, improve air quality, and decrease carbon emissions. Ice cream truck drivers and Republicans, however, oppose the idea. Probably a few more people besides that. Labeling it as impractical and potentially costly. The proposal's been sent to the city's Environmental Protection Committee for further review. Critics criticize the law as a killjoy measure and accuse it backers of prioritizing environmental concerns over the enjoyment of children during the summer. Think of the children. Think of the children. I don't know. It's the same people that say that we can't have ice cream trucks. But yeah, let's send cluster munitions to Ukraine and let's bomb the crap out of Ukrainian universities. Irony's dead, isn't it? Irony is dead. Don't worry. We'll probably get rid of all... It's not just the ice cream trucks. I think all... this is a coming war on all internal combustion engines, if they exist in the United States. However, those same things can be anywhere else in the world. Because, as you know, with the environment, the U.S. has a dome over it, and what happens in the rest of the world doesn't affect the U.S. at all. I guess. I don't know. I don't know. Just more insanity. But we need some good news, so let me get to some good news. Oh, you know, folks, they're rebuilding the Notre Cathedral spire using a mix of master woodworkers and computer wizardry. It's like they're saying, let's bring in the experts from both the Renaissance and Silicon Valley. We're going to build a spire that's not only heavenly, but it also has a great Wi-Fi signal. In the French countryside of Brie, master woodworkers and advanced computing are combining to construct a new oak wood spire for the Notre Dame Cathedral. The original spire, designed by architect Eugene Villet-de-Deux, collapsed in a fire. The team is creating a 60-foot structure with detailed drafts and intricately carved oak pieces. The wood came from tall, straight oak trees donated by private landowners and public forests. The final piece of the spire was recently placed, marking an emotional milestone. The project combines historical accuracy and modern technology, utilizing computers for precision and certainty. The reopening of the Notre Dame Cathedral is set for 2024. So that's good news, right? We had the big Notre Dame Cathedral fire years ago. Do you remember who was like on a boat tour that was passing it as it burned down? I don't know. I vaguely remember something about that. Someone on a boat drinking champagne and laughing as it was burning. But whoever, could have been anyone. But it's nice that they are rebuilding the cathedral, and they're able to do it. So that's good news. And I think it's really cool that they were able to use new technology, but still use master craftsmen to create this new cathedral. I think it's going to be really beautiful, and I look forward to seeing it. I don't know if I'm ever going to go to France again. I don't know if I'm ever going to go to Europe again. I don't know. It's changed so much. I don't really have a desire to go back. You know, Paris used to be my favorite city. I've been to Paris about 7 times, I think. But that was a long time ago. But anyway, I am glad that the cathedral is coming back. Back and better than ever. I look forward to seeing it. And that's some good news. We got to end on some good news, right? In the midst of everything around us collapsing. So anyway, stick around for the after show. I'll go through all your comments. If you made it this far, thank you. And you can thank me by hitting that like button. I appreciate you doing that. It means a lot to me. Stick around for the after show. I'll go through all your comments. And I will be back tomorrow. Have a beautiful afternoon. Until then, peace. Welcome to the after show, y'all. Thanks for being here. Oh, Duggo checking in on Rumble as always. Yeah, why can't we get some more live people on Rumble? We get so many people watching it on replay. If you're watching this on replay, hit the subscribe button, follow me, and you can participate live. If you want. Whatever. Anyway, what's the haps over on YouTube here? Lots of people checking in. Lucid Moment says, the Conference of Champions, I remember watching the Pac-10 playing on Saturday and Sunday with Dad. Yeah. For me, it was the Pac-10 growing up. It was the Pac-10. I'm listening to him slurp his coffee. Yeah, I haven't figured out how to do it. I haven't figured out how to turn my mic off while the intro plays and then have the mic turned back on. Because what I'm afraid of doing is turning the mic off and then forgetting to turn it back on when the show starts. So, yeah, sometimes you hear me slurp. Gotta find a solution for that, but we'll get there. Lucid Moments. Oh, what does PAC stand for? So we went into that, right? Not even a rainbow flag can save the Pac-12. Tom said, flaming out. Yeah. Nothing lasts forever but death and taxes. I think there was a quote vaguely around there. I have no idea what the Pac-10 or 12 is, Tom. Why not explain it? Well, should have said that from the get-go. Lucid Moment says, I graduated in 89. Nice. So, Pacific Athletic Conference. Indeed. It was the Pacific Coast Conference, if I remember right. It was not the Pacific Coast Conference, I believe. The Pacific Coast Conference is a different conference that we have. The PCC, I believe, is a group of maybe a dozen schools, maybe 10 schools on the West Coast, but they're primarily faith-based institutions. So, for example, University of Portland is in the PCC, and it is it's a Catholic school. So there are a number of schools in the PCC. I think none of them have actually a football team. So that's that. Lots of different conferences. Natasha says, I fully support Texas seceding from the U.S. I think if that were to happen, I think it would be really ugly. I think it would be really ugly. And no one really wants to like live through a revolution, right? I mean, we might want to be around after the revolution, but going through something like that is often a real disaster. The truth is what I say it is. Brother, where art thou? The retraction will be on page 12 in a week, underneath the lost dogs and yard sales. Yeah, I don't even think they're going to do a retraction. I don't think the Times is going to do a correction. I just wanted to bring this out as just another example for you. If you have people you care about and they trust the New York Times, this is just another example of it. Natalie Williams says, I lost trust in them and all corporate media at least a decade ago. Well, that was before me. I had my blinders on for quite a while. It wasn't until I started this channel and I, actually started reading articles, the whole article, not just the headline. That's what it took for me to realize, wait a minute, something's fishy here. Natasha says, exactly, I only partially believe alternative media, mainstream media, not at all. Yeah, the thing is, just because the corporate media is bad doesn't mean that the alternative media is any better, right? Because often that's not the case either. They suffer from the same biases that the corporate media does. Cutting off your nose to despite your neighboring town. Yeah. Fun to watch adults run for ice cream in my hood. We don't really have ice cream trucks where, in my neighborhood. Different parts of town have ice cream trucks. One of the things that we do have, I know we have like a little tamale. There's a tamale lady that goes around. Will they subsidize the small business owners to transition? I'm sure not, We're going to be eating bugs anyway. They've already putting that out in school lunches. We'll see about that. Those poor screaming children having to chase random trucks down for ice cream now. Irony plus absurdity equals current government. Yeah, there's lots of math that we could talk about with the current government. The Hunchback would be pleased, speaking of the new Notre Dame thing. Wasn't it Hillary? And I think that's who was on the boat that was passing the Notre Dame as it was on fire. I don't know who it was. I'm not going to say. You can look it up for yourself. If there were anyone, perhaps that was just my imagination. Was it Nero watching it burn? Seems that way. Let's see. You need a sneeze button. Yeah, I do. See, I have this, and let's see if this works. No? Okay. I have an on-off. I have a switch on-off for the microphone. The problem is if I turn it off and then I forget to turn it back on, that's the issue. Yeah, I probably need it, so I just hold it down. But then do I want to be holding it down for the... I don't know. We'll figure it out. Our ice cream truck offers treats with alcohol, maybe THC soon. Jody, I don't know where you are, but I don't know how I feel about that. Natasha says, I would definitely run after a tamale truck. Yeah, tamale lady, she does quite well. Although, I will say, the tamales have really gone up in price as well with inflation. I think tamales are probably up like 40% last couple of years. You know, but that's Bidenomics, right? But anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hitting the like button. I appreciate you for doing that. Have a beautiful day. I'll be back tomorrow with another show. Until then, peace.